Hello and welcome to our webinar. As you can tell from the title, we're going to be talking about Totara and some of the features that we find that people sleep on that are actually really powerful. So, if you're already using a Totara LMS or you're considering switching to a Totara LMS, then this is the place for you. Just in terms of introductions, I'm Helen. I'm a digital marketer here at Build Empire. And you might be thinking, what do you know about Totara in terms of everyday use? But every day I'm listening to customers and their stories on how they use the platform. And I'm also hearing from Totara themselves on what new features they've brought out and what people are actually engaging with. What's left is a resounding disconnect. So today we're going to explore some of Totara's lesser known features, the ones organizations often have but aren't fully using, and how these tools can make a real difference to learning and development. So I'm going to just pause for a moment just to give some people time to join. In the meantime, I'll do a bit of housekeeping. So we're live here on LinkedIn, so please feel free to use the chat function to introduce yourselves, tell us where you're joining from or how you're currently using Totara. This video will also be shared on YouTube if you prefer to watch things back on there, but it won't be live, of course. But you can still leave any comments or questions on there, so please do that. Okay, so I think that's enough time for you all to get on and get settled with a cup of tea. So let's get started. So, first, a bit of intro. So, over the years, we've noticed that many organizations focus on the obvious features such as course creation, reporting, or compliance tracking, but several powerful tools remain underused. And that feels like a really big shame to us. So, we're going to be going through 5 key features and shine a light on how they could impact your learning platform. Right, so let's get started then. Our first feature, as this title says, is collaborative learning and communication. So, social learning is a big trend both in 2025 and for 2026, and it's one area we often see underused. So, in case you don't already know, collaborative learning is about learners working together and sharing knowledge. So, to put it simply, it's an educational approach where individuals work maybe in small groups, but they work together to collectively solve problems, share ideas, and achieve a common goal that would be difficult for them to do alone. Sounds pretty good to us. Do you agree? But it can be difficult to achieve in an LMS. However, Totara provides several tools to help enable it. So, firstly, you can access messaging tools and features. Messaging allows learners to communicate about learning topics without cluttering emails or teams. So, you can create dedicated threads for specific projects or skill areas, which makes it easy to track progress and feedback. Next is Playlist, which comes as part of the Totara Engage suite, which was added to core Totara in the last release. Playlist lets learners share curated resources. You can make playlists public or private. Public ones are great for onboarding or leadership resources, while private ones allow a smaller team to collaborate without any distraction. And lastly, there are forums. So, part of the old Engage suite of tools, forums give learners a space to discuss topics, ask questions, and provide peer support. So, for one example, is a compliance team we worked with created a forum per policy topic. So, that encourages learners to share real world examples and solutions. So, that was a really great way that they used that. Even though most organizations now have these features, they're often underused. So small steps like setting up a shared playlist or a forum for a course can quickly build engagement and social learning. And this also works well, especially for organizations with strict data governance as well as communication. All the communication stays within Totara. So you can create threads for performance reviews or skills audits, keeping your conversation structured, trackable, and safe and data protected. And a little tip too is to encourage learners to comment or add resources to playlists weekly. Even if it's just 5 minutes, it really builds a culture of sharing over time and you're getting into those habits of giving that feedback. So I'm curious, do you use any of these features? Let us know in the comments. Are you using playlists or are you using forums as part of your LMS? I'm quite nosy, so I'd love to know. And if not, do you plan to? Because I personally think that they're really useful. and they can make a huge difference in terms of social learning and engagement. So now we're moving on to feature two, which is Totara Perform, linking goals to learning. So bear with us on this one. I know that that Perform is a whole suite of tools, but we don't see anyone really making good use of it, being quite honest. And it makes no sense to us because, after all, it's called learning and development. So why are we not directly linking learning to performance? Perform is designed to connect learning with organizational and individual goals, making it easier to see how training directly impacts performance and skills development. So, when it comes to goals with Perform, you can set individual or team goals and link them to specific learning activities or courses, which is really, really great. You can track progress towards those goals, so showing how completed learning contributes to skill development. And you can identify gaps where additional learning is needed to meet goals. This creates a continuous development plan, so learning is guided by real objectives rather than just ticking off courses. As we all know, that isn't a great way to learn. An example scenario could be, that a manager and a team member have a conversation about improving leadership skills. So, to help with achieving that goal, the manager sets a goal for the team member in Perform. Within that goal, the manager links to a series of relevant courses that can support leadership, which are all directly in the LMS. And then, as the learner completes each module, their progress is automatically tracked against the goal. Now, this really creates a clear line from learning activity to measurable outcomes. What you're left with is clear progression, which means that the manager can easily dictate if goals are being completed or not. And the team member is left with a sense of accomplishment, growth, and achievement because there's a tangible outcome right there on the screen, which is always great. So it might be that your organization already runs learning programs, but using Perform can help ensure training is strategic and goal driven rather than ad hoc, which will lead to much better performance conversations, and your people feel like they're being invested in. So think about your current learning programs. Could linking them directly to individual or team goals make them more impactful? Now we're moving on to feature three, so adding interactivity, so H5P. I'll explain that shortly. So our next key feature is H5P. Now I know learning content creators might scoff at this, but we found that it's another feature that doesn't actually get that much attention. You might be surprised, but most of you will know what H5P is. But just in case you don't, H5P is a free open source software that enables users and learning content managers like yourselves to create rich, interactive, and engaging web based content. And that's without needing any program skills. So it's essentially creating a cheat sheet to create better learning content without without the need for creating SCORM packages. So with H5P in play, you can add more engaging content types like quizzes and knowledge checks. These are a real must for any LMS because you can test understanding and reinforce learning. And there's also drag and drop exercises. These are lovely and engaging additions to learning content that allow you to give learners hands on tasks. And also, there's interactive videos where you can add questions, prompts, or branching choices directly into the video content, which turns passive watching into active learning, which is obviously much more engaging. And also, there's audio based activities as well, so you can include narration, instructions, or interactive audio prompts for mobile friendly, accessible learning. Even small use cases like these, like adding a short interactive quiz or flashcards to a module, can boost engagement significantly. One real life example that we've seen in practice here at Build Empire was when a customer replaced a 20-minute slide deck with an interactive video. Now, you wouldn't expect as big of a change as this, but it actually doubled completion rates. And it wasn't just quantitative impact, but qualitative too. So, feedback from learners was really positive, with them reporting that they really enjoyed the new format considerably more than its previous one. So, that's really great to see. And H5P also tracks engagement metrics, so you can see which content is actually being used by your learners and tailor future content to this information. So that's also amazing. You can then iterate and improve modules based on real learner behaviour with that. So it's a really positive form of feedback for all of your learning managers out there, and it's really useful to know. So now we'll move on to feature 4. We are whizzing through these. So feature 4 is the workshop activity. Our fourth feature, this one, it's one of my favorites, to be honest, because it's also one that's really underused, but it basically lets learners submit their own work and review each other's submission and give structured feedback. That makes learning feel a lot more productive because learners aren't just completing tasks, they're actively evaluating and reflecting on what good work actually looks like. This is really useful for skills development because learners can see where they could improve while learning how others approach the same task too, because we all approach things differently. And learners love feedback, and this is a great way to deliver it. A quick example of this in practice would be a learner submits the document and the system randomly assigns it for peer review. Peers give structured feedback, which is then sent back to the learner, and with that feedback, they can make changes to the original document, which means they're putting feedback into practice as well and actively taking it on board. Even using a single workshop activity can boost interaction and critical thinking and reflection as well. So, here's a little tip for you as well while we're on this. You could combine a workshop activity with H5P quizzes for formative feedback before final grading. It's really, really, really great way to engage learners and make them feel supported throughout the process, that they are getting feedback and growing as they go along. So that's great. Now we're moving on to our final feature. It's branding and customization. Not last but not least, another one of our favorites, because branding can so often be overlooked. And we get it, you're busy setting up so much that branding often feels like a chore, and going for default can just feel a lot easier. But if you do branding and customization right, it can have so many benefits. And with Tocha, you can customize things like placeholders, layouts, colors, and imagery. And the obvious benefit is that by matching your LMS, your organization's brand, you're creating that familiarity, the tough word to say, familiarity and trust, even if you decide to brand it independently. The LMS having a sense of brand can help boost engagement and trust. So, where do you begin? Well, there are obviously the basics like adding a logo and choosing your brand colors, but you can also make more nuanced changes, which will really help you customize and personalize your learning platform. So, for an example, your homepage, you could have one static homepage, or you can set your homepage by demographic or job title or time in a role. And that means that you can change your homepage. So for brand new starters, they could have a specific homepage. For seasoned staff, they could have a different one. And you can also have different pages for people working in your marketing department, for example. Not everyone needs to see the same content, so offering them a more personalized space means they're going to be more engaged in the process. These small touches improve the learner experience and make the platform feel more intuitive. And that isn't all you can do. So we offer extra branding options for Tocha LMSs, so you can make your LMS look exactly how you want it. And we do have some more new features planned for early next year. I'll give you a little hint. Might be branded fonts. Hopefully, I won't get in trouble for saying that, but keep an eye out for updates and sign up for our newsletter to stay informed on that and any other new feature updates that we have. And there you have it. So that was a whistle stop tour on 5 key features in Tocha that we think learning professionals are absolutely sleeping on. One of the biggest pieces of feedback we get in T for Tocha is the huge learning curve, and that really is a testament to how much you can control, build, and customize. So there are endless features that you can make use of and tailor to your needs, but all of these features combined can make a real difference to learner engagement and experience, whether that be the collaborative tools like we've mentioned, like playlists and forums, to interactive H5P content, to performance management with Tocha. Small steps towards utilising these features can make such a big difference. So If you want to find out more about these features or see some examples of how they look in action, then get in touch with us on LinkedIn or on our website, buildempire.co.uk. We are a platinum Tocha provider, so we are Tocha partner even, so we are very expert. We are the experts in this. So yeah, thanks so much for joining today, and yeah, please pop any final questions in the chat. We'll make sure to get back to you afterwards. Have a great rest of your day, and thanks for watching.